Jai Gurudev. Jai Masters. The Buddhists talk about right understanding. The simplest and most basic and important understanding of right understanding is that you are already perfect. And that's the truth. You're already enlightened. You're already one with God. You never weren't. Listen to me. You never weren't. You never left. It's a question of understanding what's going on. The example I always use, because I think it works for you, is you live in a house, you have a family, you have a job, there's a beautiful outdoors, you have a very nice life. Then one day, you turn on the TV, and there's something on that either really excites you or really disturbs you. And you're going to find out that you can't take your eyes off of it. You're going to find out that you become like tranced. You sit down on the couch, you don't even know how you got on the couch, and you're glued to the television. You're enthralled. You're captured. I don't know what you want to call it. During that time, when you are that enthralled and engaged and hypnotized, if you will, into what is going on TV, you don't have a family. You don't have a house. You don't have an outside. You don't have a job. You don't even have a past. Not at that moment, because your consciousness is who you are. You are what you're conscious of, period. You are conscious of thoughts, so of course you identify with those. You're conscious of feelings, you identify with those. And you're conscious of what comes through your senses. And that's who you are at that moment. There is something you are not conscious of doesn't exist to you. Do you understand that? Period. It doesn't exist. You're not conscious of it. It could be right next to you. Somebody would be calling your name. But you're so absorbed in the television that you don't hear them. Therefore, they don't exist to you. Do you all understand that? You've been there, haven't you? Okay? When you go to movies, I use that example in the book. When you go to movies, you hope that happens to you. You don't want to be sitting there in a dark theater next to a bunch of strangers for 2 hours. That's not what's supposed to happen, is it? Right? The movie is supposed to engage you. It's supposed to capture your attention, your awareness. If it does, you're not in a movie theater. I mean, you are, but you're not. You're in the movie. See the difference? That is the essence of spirituality. That's right understanding what's going on. You are the awareness of being, consciousness. Your consciousness pays attention to what we call in the trade objects of consciousness. It could be a television, it could be a person, it could be a snake, it could be a thought. And your awareness of being, you in there, hi, your awareness of being focuses on either one or a number, you can multitask, a number of different things, but not a lot of things. Like, I mean, how many things are going on in the universe right now that you could pay attention to? How about 700 billion zillion? All over China and here and everywhere. You understand that? But you're not paying attention to it, period. How many thoughts could you have? 100 billion zillion. But you're only experiencing the ones you're experiencing. I mean, big deal. 2, 3, 4, 5, who cares? Right? The point is, it's very small, isn't it? So your consciousness is limited to the objects of consciousness that it's paying attention to. There, it's that simple. And those are very few in comparison to reality, comparison to the whole universe. So why make such a big deal about that? Exactly, I know you won't believe me, but exactly what is happening when you sit down and get enthralled in a TV show, and that becomes who you are for that period of time. You don't have to think, this is who I am. That's who you are. Well, I guess there's nothing else. There's no other thoughts. There's no other feelings. If you have thoughts and feelings, they're about the TV show. You feel compassion for the characters instead of feeling compassion for your children or your husband. There is no children or husband going on in there unless they're in the TV. Okay, well, why do I make such a big deal out of it? Because I'm telling you, that is what's happening. Instead of your consciousness being lost and limited to the TV, your consciousness is lost and limited to you, to the TV that's playing inside. Your thoughts, your emotions, and what is coming in through your senses, right? There's like a flat screen TV in there that you're watching. It talks to you through your thoughts. I don't know why you did that, but maybe I should go with it. No, I don't want to go with it. You pay attention to that, don't you? All right? Feelings. I don't want to talk about those. All right? You got those. They come up. They capture your attention, don't they? All right? If you come to me and you sit there and you say, I won't let you, but if you come to me, you sit there and say, oh, since my boyfriend or girlfriend left my heart, it hurts so bad. You don't want to hear the therapy I'm going to give you. That's why they won't let me do it. I know what I'm going to say. Oh, my heart hurts so bad, and he left, and ever since he left, it just feels like it's being ripped out of my chest, and you want to talk about this, and I'm going to interrupt you, which is not nice, and no good therapist would do that, all right? I'm going to ask you, how do you know? How do you know your heart hurts? The same way you know what's on TV. The same way you know what's in front of you. You are conscious of it, right or wrong. At that moment, a hurting heart is the object of consciousness that you're most aware of. Sometimes you could get so aware of it, you just get lost in it. Woe is me, and there's nothing else in your life. You don't remember anything from the past, nothing good ever. You understand that? You're just lost in your hurt heart. Who is? You are. The same person that used to like the open heart. Was it a different you who notices the hurt heart that noticed the open heart, the nice heart? It's the same you. There's just you. Were you in there when you were 6? I want an intuitive answer. Last week, were you in there? Paying attention to the thoughts and feelings? How about 3 years ago? Were you in there? When you were 6 years old, were you in there? You've always been in there, haven't you? When you were 6 or 8 years old, did you ever stand in front of a mirror and look at your body? Did it look like it looks now? Was it you looking? Question is, who are you? Who are you that is in there, that is watching what the emotions are, that is noticing what the thoughts are, and that is noticing what's coming in through your senses? You have 5 senses. They come in, and you're aware. This is what you're looking at. Like, you're looking at me, all right? Who is? Maybe you're interested in what I'm saying. I want to know who is in there noticing that there's this guy up here talking. Okay? You'd notice if I disappeared, wouldn't you? And you notice your thoughts. Where'd he go? What's happening? You're noticing everything that's going on. Who is? That is what spirituality is about under all conditions. It is about you. You. Christ said it. The kingdom is within you. Right? That's my favorite part of what Christ said. The kingdom is within you. And he knew what he's talking about. Literally, it is within the you that I'm talking about. But you don't hang out with the you. You hang out with what you're aware of. You hang out with your thoughts, your emotions, and what is coming in through your senses. And that's your life. You understand that? That's exactly the same as if you walk into the house and instead of paying attention to what's going on in the house and everywhere else, you sit down on the couch and get sucked into the TV. You've limited your universe to what you're aware of, which is very small when you're watching TV, isn't it? Okay? It's tiny compared to the rest of what's going on. You understand that? So you have limited your universe to what you're aware of. And if what you're aware of, your object of consciousness, is this tiny TV screen, you really limited it. The kids could be crying. You don't hear them. You're supposed to be doing things. You're not doing it. They're not part of your universe. All right? This is your universe. I'm telling you, someday, if you go deep enough and you practice the teachings for long enough, you will find out that's exactly what's happening. You are not limited to your thoughts, just like you're not limited to the TV screen. You just happen to be limiting your consciousness to your thoughts because those are the things that interest you. Those are the things that enthrall you. If your heart starts to hurt, you're going to pay attention to the damn thing. So you just took your universe and you went, it became the size of your hurt heart because that's all that exists for you. That could go on for a while, couldn't it? Some people get all lost in there for a long time. And it's the same thing with your thoughts. Your consciousness is not limited to your thoughts. Your thoughts are just things that are in the realm of what your consciousness is aware of. They are objects of consciousness. All of your thoughts. I don't care what they are. Good thoughts, bad thoughts, holy thoughts, unholy thoughts. Doesn't matter. The thoughts. Clouds are passing in the sky. One of them looks like the devil. One of them looks like Christ. One of them looks like Buddha. Who cares? They're clouds. That's what thoughts are. There are things that are being created by your mind inside your head somewhere there, right? And it's just like you're watching TV. You're watching, you know what I call it? Oprah has the channel O. You have the channel U. Right? You're watching the TV screen of you. And that's what you're watching. And so it limits your consciousness to whatever you're aware of. And I'm telling you, that's what you're aware of. I'm going to spend a little time talking about that. Well, why would I spend so much time talking about that? What's that have to do with right understanding? Because I let the cat out of the bag. You, who's looking, is the part that the Bible means when it says man was created in the image of God. I don't have to believe that. You should know that. Explore the nature of self. What is the nature of your being? All right? Yogananda talked about his whole thing was self-realization. All right? The foundation he made was self-realization fellowship. All right? What does that mean, self-realization? Don't just use those words willy-nilly. It means realizing the self. Realizing not the self, some object, a soul. Like people say, let's say, I'm terrible. If somebody asked me, they came up and they said, well, Mickey, do people have a soul? No. People do not have a soul. They are the soul. You are the consciousness that's in there who's aware of everything it sees. That is what's meant by the word soul, the essence of your being. That which is not made of physical matter. That which is consciousness. Consciousness is the greatest thing in the universe. Why? It's the only thing that knows that it knows that it knows. Right? The piano doesn't know it's there, but consciousness all of a sudden brings light to us. Let's call it the light of consciousness. When light shines on something, it illuminates it. It takes on its shape. It illumines it. When consciousness is aware of something, it brings life to it. It brings meaning to it. If everything in the universe existed and nothing was ever conscious of it, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't matter. It would be zero. If nothing ever was conscious of it, well, what purpose is it? Nothing. The great Master Meher Baba used to say it like this: everything in the universe, all of it, is zeros. Right? Take the number 1 and put it to the left of all those zeros. All of a sudden, they're worth 100 billion, zillion, trillion. That 1 is consciousness. That's what brings life and meaning and essence to everything. Do you see the difference? Okay? So it's like, I talk about Helen Keller. I like that story, right? They didn't think she was in there. I don't know what they thought. She wasn't conscious. I don't know, because she couldn't see or hear, etc. But they found out that she could touch, that she felt sensation of touch. And they developed an entire language in touching. And they found out she's in there. And she has thoughts and she has emotions. And she goes to sleep and she wakes up. She's exactly the same as everybody else. She just doesn't receive through her senses. Okay? But the point is, you're conscious. And if you're conscious, you're a living being. You're present. That's the sentience, the greatness of your being. So net result is, the question is not, are you conscious? You are always conscious. I like in the comic books, when you're knocked out conscious, you see stars. Who does? Okay? There are times when people go into comas, that they do different things. And when they come back, they got all these stories about what was going on, or near-death experiences, and they went into the light, and they were flatlined here, right? The question is not, what was the light like? Did you meet your grandmother? That's not the question. The question is, who noticed that? Who noticed there was a tunnel? Who noticed there was a light? Who noticed there was a relative on the other side? That's what I want to know. Is it the same you that was down here noticing what was on TV, or how the car in front of you was driving, right? Is that the same you who noticed the tunnel and went through the tunnel? Of course it is. There's only one you. It's the essence of your being. I'm a nice Jewish yogi, but I like Christ's teachings, right? Now, I have to admit, once in my life I read the New Testament, in 72 or 73. But when I'm teaching, it just comes back. It's just ridiculous. There is a line in the Bible that says, if thine eye be single, then thy whole body shall be filled with light. If thy eye be dual, how great is the darkness within you? It's probably not word for word, but it's close, right? This is what you're talking about. You're talking about if your seat of consciousness is one. There may be many thoughts. Not everybody in there agrees with you, do they? Forget about everybody out here. Not everybody in there agrees with you. You got to have a thought saying this, and a thought saying this, and a thought saying that, and a feeling doing this. Right or wrong? It is the same consciousness that is aware of all of them, isn't it? It's you, right? You come and say, I just can't do anything with my mind. It's driving me crazy. I love it. That's wonderful. Who's it driving crazy? Like when you say that, you're a great yogi. You're admitting you're not your mind. Right? I can't handle my mind's driving me crazy. I'm having a bad mind day. I can't. Will you come to me and say, I can't meditate? I would love that. I don't let you do these things. But if I did, right? You come to me and say, I can't meditate. What do you mean you can't meditate? Do you breathe? Yeah. Okay? That's if you meditate. No, I sit down to meditate and my mind goes crazy. How do you know? Do you hear me? That's meditation. Not that you made the mind be quiet. Be aware of the fact that you are aware that your mind is not shutting up. That's a very high state. It's called witness consciousness. It's not mind control. It's seating yourself behind the mind. How do I get behind the mind? You don't get behind the mind. You are behind the mind. There's never a moment ever that you are not behind the mind, watching the mind. You do know what it's doing, don't you? If your mind says, I want something, oh, I want it so bad, or I don't want this, I'm so scared. You know it's doing that, don't you? If you can't fall asleep at night, you lie there. Why? My mind won't shut up. Whose mind? The word my is a possessive pronoun. Who's the owner? Who noticed the mind? That is spirituality. All right? So the question, you have two choices. Do I spend my entire life focusing on what I'm aware of, or do I spend my life trying to realize who I am that's aware of these things? What is the nature of self? What is the nature of consciousness? What is the nature of awareness? What is the nature of the indwelling, we call it the indwelling being. Who's that? You. Isn't that funny? It's a Buddhist term, the indwelling being. Let's not make it sound mystical. It's, I don't know what word to give to you in there. Self, Atman, soul, essence, I am. There's too many words. All right? That's the mind trying to talk about who's watching it. You understand that? Right? It's like the car trying to understand who's driving it. Right? That's silly. They don't do that. Or better a computer, because a computer can think. At least it can make believe it does. All right? But imagine a computer trying to figure out who you are that's watching it do its thing. That's ridiculous. You're transcendent to the whole thing. That's what the word means. You live at another level. You're outside of it. It's like a light that shines on something. The light illumines what it's shining on, but what it's shining on is not the light. It has nothing to do with the light. The light is coming from the source. It's just projecting its essence, its radiance, onto the object. It is the same thing with your consciousness. Your consciousness is back in here. Back. As long as I tell you, back. It's back behind. From the seat of consciousness. It's like your couch where you watch TV. From the seat of consciousness. You've heard that term, seat of consciousness. I hope it means something to you, right? It's not something you get to think about. Because if you're thinking about it, you're watching your thought. You're not in the seat of consciousness. I wonder what the seat of consciousness is. I think I'm there. The seat of consciousness is what is watching yourself think about the seat of consciousness. It is the awareness of being. So I told you, the choice of your life, your whole life is, do you spend your life devoted to the objects of consciousness? And I'll talk about why you do that, and you do that. Spend your life devoted to the objects of consciousness. What are the thoughts? What are the feelings? And what is coming into the senses? Okay? I'm devoting that. I don't know anything about who I am. I'm devoting all of my energy and all of my will and the essence of my being to the objects that are passing before my consciousness. All right? Or, and this is essence of spirituality. Everything else is just mind. Do I devote my life to exploring me? Who's in there watching? Not think about it. Be it. You understand the difference? You can't think your way there. Because the very act of thinking pulls you down. You can't find your kids by looking closer into the TV. Get a life. Not in there. Right? Get a life means stop watching the TV. I don't know how to. I don't even know there is no TV. I'm in the TV. That's where I live. Right? My whole consciousness is buried inside of there. Well, then, what's going to happen? Okay, you're lost. That's the fall from the garden, by the way. And again, you just have to find it for yourself. But someday you will understand the fall from the garden. It is not something you go read in Genesis and figure out what they're supposed to be talking about, all right? You will return and you will watch the fall again. You will literally come back to the seat of consciousness, feel the ecstasy, the joy, the expansiveness, the oneness, the presence, the love of the nature of your being, because that is who you are, and that is the nature of the most terrible person in the entire world. That's the nature of their being. The nature of your being is divine. The nature of your being was created in the image of God. It is ecstasy, it is joy, it is love, it is universal consciousness, it is expansive, period. Right? The trouble is, it is addicted to watching TV. One channel. It doesn't even change channels, all right? It's just watching that one channel of your thoughts, your hopes, your dreams, your concepts, your views, your beliefs, your politics, your everything, who you like, who you don't like, whether they're being true to you or not being true to you. Can you trust them? Can you not trust them? And I don't want to feel jealousy because I really have trouble with jealousy. I don't want to be... Oh, my God, are you lost in that channel? There's not one moment you're not in that channel, all right? But you... who is watching that channel, have nothing to do with that. You're the highest thing that ever walked the face of the earth. Do you hear me? There's, again, a line in the Bible. And I made sure I get this one right. But Christ says, right, as I sit by the throne of my Father. Now, that is not a seat. Don't you paint me some picture with a gold throne sitting there or something. That's absurd. It is a seat of consciousness. It is, where are you sitting inside? Right? Well, I'm lost in this, or I have this, or I've gone deeper. It is a seat of consciousness. They get very high, these seats of consciousness. So as I sit by the throne of my Father, meaning you've gone far enough back to where you're with God. You're expansive, you're universal, you're enlightened, call it whatever you want. Right? As I sit by the throne of my Father, so you also shall sit by my throne. Whoa. And these things that I do, you shall do these and even greater things. Do you understand that? So your consciousness in its pure sense, what does pure sense mean? It's not focused on an object of consciousness. Perhaps you've heard in Buddhism, Zen especially, there's a thing called empty mind. Who's ever heard that? Empty mind. It means that the consciousness is not absorbed in the objects within your mind. You're welcome to think anytime you want, but it's not like you have to be lost. Look, just the fact that you're in the TV, you could stop being in the TV. You can still go back. You can watch anytime you want. But you're not addicted to being lost in the limitations of the TV. Do you understand that? There is a seat within you where you are not addicted to being you, to being this concept of yourself, this stupid little whining thing in there that has all these problems and all these concepts and views and doesn't like other people who don't agree with it. And come on, all right? You just limited yourself to this tiny thing, and you think your thing is right. That's like saying one channel on the TV is more right than the other. None of them is more you. I don't care what it is. Watch an action film, watch the weather, watch the news, watch the, preaching channels. It doesn't matter. Who are you that's watching it? There's no difference. You understand? The Gita talks about that. It talks about going beyond the gunas, beyond the qualities of nature. The Gita is very deep. It goes into the qualities of nature. Nature itself, meaning your mind, your heart, and the world, it says three main qualities. They call them gunas. Tamas, darkness, sloth, low energy, call it whatever you want, right? Things are like that, aren't they? Rajas, passion, action, I don't care if it's passion for it, passion against it, fear, desire, lust, greed, whatever it is, that's different than sloth. Okay, the tamas is defined, many different words could be used for those things, right? So tamas is the low energy, and your mind can have low energy, your heart can have low energy, you can have low energy, the world can have low energy, right? All kinds of things. Or it can be passionate, action, right? Weather, it could be stagnant, right? That's tamas. Or it could be active and stormy, right? Stuff are going on. Or then it's sattvic. Sattva, the other guna, is pure, peaceful, high, quiet, not passionate, lustful, running all around, just deep sense of peace and wholeness and greatness. And what the Gita teaches? Don't get lost in any of them. That's why the Gita is so deep. It's hard for people to read it, right? It says, who's watching those? It literally says that. Who is it that notices that there's low energy? Sometimes you have low energy. Sometimes you have passionate or fearful energy that drives you to action. And sometimes, very rare, it gets quiet in there. Then she says, lovey-dovey, and just leave me alone. I want to be alone. It's nice. The Gita asks the question, fine, who are you that notices this variation of these different states? That's who you are. You are the one thing that doesn't change. All right? So basically, again, I ask you, are you going to spend your life trying to get it so that the objects of consciousness are comfortable to you? So that in essence, spend your life sitting on I love the example, that's why I keep using it. You're going to spend your life and devote it to sitting on the couch and finding a channel that you're comfortable with. You hear me? It doesn't matter what channel you're watching. Your consciousness is limited to this tiny little thing in the universe, right? The fact that you kind of don't, you're not suffering as much because you found a channel you're a little comfortable with, or you're a good surfer, a channel surfer, you keep changing it, right? That's all you're doing when you channel surf, boom, 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 right? Is trying to find something, you stay in the TV, something that will catch your attention to make you feel comfortable, all right? That's what you're doing with life. You're sitting in the seat of consciousness, your seat. You don't know it. Just say you don't know you're sitting on the couch when you watch TV. You know, don't say to me, I don't know that I'm in a seat of consciousness. I don't know what you're talking about. Of course you don't. Just like if you're in the TV and you're completely lost in the TV, you don't know you're on the couch, do you? You don't think about it. You don't feel like anything. That's exactly what's happening. But you are on the couch, aren't you? Right? You have nothing to do with the TV. You've just projected your consciousness, your awareness onto that object. That is what you've done here. You're a great being, and great is very great, all right? You're universal. Your nature is universal. You're infinite. You're eternal. I don't usually use the words with you. I assure you, right? They preach that to you, but they don't know what they're talking about, all right? The self is not made of matter. It will never be born. It has never died. It is consciousness, and it is part of the divine. It is a ray of the divine consciousness, and it's universal in its nature, and beings can return to that. That's what Christ meant when he said, my Father and I are one. A yogi understands that. That's not like weird, okay? Like, wow, he was enlightened. His whole individual consciousness that used to watch TV let go enough to where it's not individual anymore. It fell back into the source. It's like getting up from the couch. How much bigger is your world? There's a line in the Bible that says, in my Father's house there's many mansions. In other words, it's way bigger. It's way bigger. When you get up from the TV, there's lots of places to see, aren't there? If you're on the TV, you can't even imagine how many more there are. There's a whole universe out there, a whole world. It's the same thing with your seat of consciousness. So what it boils down to is your awareness of being is lost in your thoughts, your emotions, okay? And because they are so important to you, you pay attention to them. All that has to happen is one thought pop into your mind. Bye-bye. One thought could pop in your mind. You're not going to sleep for 2 days. Right? Well, what? He's not home. He hasn't called. What if he's out with somebody else? Oh, my God, what would I do? What are you doing? That'll mess you up good, won't it? Him too. When he comes home. It doesn't take much for a thought to pop in your head or an emotion to emote out of your heart or something to unfold in front of you. You understand that? You could walk out and forget where you parked your car, and while you're looking for it, your mind could say, oh my God, somebody stole it. They stole my car. Oh my God, I'm going to get in so much trouble. I borrowed it from my parents. And all that's going on, and you're getting yourself completely upset, and then, oh, there it is. Yeah, I kind of remember I put it there, right? You're still upset. You understand that? That upsetness ain't going away because you found your car. You got yourself all messed up. Your aura's all messed up. This is what it's like to live in there. That's what it's like for your consciousness to be absorbed in this tiny little space of you. All right? The challenge I used to ask my students is as follows, right? How many things are there that your mind could think about at any time? Anytime. Mars, Saturn, the rings about Mars, planets around you. I mean, come on, how many things are there in the universe you could be thinking about right now? 800 billion, zillion, trillion, correct? All right? What percentage of your thoughts have something to do with this 5 or 6 foot by 2 foot, 3 foot little space that's right here, that little box? How about 99%? Do you understand that? What do I want? What do I not want? Oh my God, when I was little, my parents got divorced, and it bothers me still. What in the world? Right? You are completely, your consciousness is completely addicted to you, to this little box of objects that make up your thoughts, your emotions, and what's coming in through your senses, or what has come in. So you are limited. What are you limited to? The experiences you've had. There's not a single thought going on in your head that there wasn't something you experienced. Like Freud talks about suppressed stuff. You only suppress what already happened to you. You didn't suppress something that didn't happen. If you've never experienced anything, you don't know anything about it. So you've gone through life. Let's start building how to get out. The way to get out is to figure out how you got in. How'd you get caught in here? Because that's your escape route, by walking your way backwards. You can't just all of a sudden just start thinking of something else. You have Buddha say, work at the root. You have to understand the root cause of this. How did you get so caught in there? Right? If you're the highest being that walked the face of the earth, and you are, okay, you are as great as they come, right? Why in the world would you limit yourself to that? And you know what that I'm talking about. that little whining creature that is so hard to live with. I remember when I first caught on, I would say, I can't take him anywheres. Anywhere I take him, he's embarrassed, he's ashamed, he doesn't know if his hair looks okay, his shirt tucked in, or the thing, did he say something wrong? Oh my God, he might say something wrong. He didn't say something, it was so impressive, I thought of that, why didn't I think, what is this guy? I don't want to take him anywhere, he's no fun. Okay, so you wake up. All right, first, why is it like that? Your conscience is going to go on that which interests you the most. If you're watching a TV show and you're all sucked in and a commercial comes on, you're back. You hear me? Unless you happen to be into commercials, all right? Then you're not, okay? But basically, if it doesn't interest you, I love that word, interest you. If your consciousness is not attracted to it, if it's not engaged with it, it's not going to capture your consciousness. So you'll be able to go about your business and not be lost in that. You don't have to be as little. You're as little as what your consciousness limits itself to, okay? And that's pretty little. So why is your consciousness so interested to where it, not only does it not free itself, but you can't even free it? Try it sometime. Try to not think about you. See what happens. Try to not care what your emotions are. You have limited your consciousness to this tiny thing. Why? Because it is what interests you. And because it interests you, you don't even know you can get your consciousness off of it. If you watch the TV long enough, you don't know you're not a TV. It becomes your concept of self. So your concept of self now is made up of your body, your thoughts, and your emotions. Psychology calls it your self-concept. I called it your concept of self. They sound very familiar. All right? Guess what's true about both of them? They're not you. A concept is not who you are. It is a thought about who you are. If I ask you, here I have a fruit you've never seen before. It's called a Bosca Belusca. All right? What does it taste like? You should say to me, how do I know? I don't have any idea. But you don't, right? You say, well, it's shaped a little bit like a chicken I saw once. It probably tastes like a chicken. My concept is it will taste like a chicken, right? It's something you made up in your mind and created a thought world about it, and you now have a concept about it. That's what you did about yourself. You should be the self, not have a concept about the self. A concept about the self is something the self's aware of. This is what I have a self-concept that I'm a beautiful young woman. But what happened? I got old. I haven't been happy ever since. The first gray hair did it, and the first varicose vein, that was it. That ended it all together. What are you doing? You made up a concept about yourself, and now if it doesn't match, your mind goes crazy. So now the question we're asking is, why, if you are the greatest thing that ever walked the face of the earth, and you are, your consciousness is one with God, it's born of God, it's in the image of God, it's pure consciousness. In the East, it's called Satchitananda, eternal conscious ecstasy. That's what happens. The closer you get to the nature of your being, you just feel this overwhelming love and joy and ecstasy and freedom. Not bad stuff. It's what you're looking for out here is what you are in there. Okay, this is the silliest thing in the world. So why can you not remove your consciousness from the addiction of your tiny little self, of these tiny thoughts? You have to understand how it got built. What happens is when the soul drops into the body, when consciousness becomes aware of the body, it loses its sense of self. It becomes overwhelmed by the senses that come in through the body, the sights and sounds and all this. It's all of a sudden it's coming in, all right? And it has to deal with it. And make a real long story short, if you want to go to the whole thing, take the course I did online. I did a course for you all, 9 hours, by the way, 8 sessions. It goes in full detail of how all this happened, how you built this mind that you have in there. So basically, it is uncomfortable. It's being pulled into the overwhelming sensory overcharge that's happening. It's overwhelmed with the senses. And it came from a peaceful place, and this ain't so peaceful. It's all coming in. So it immediately, and if you had a kid, you'll see it's a very young age, tries to define its relationship with the world that it sees. Mommy, daddy, blankie, crib. I said once before, go ask a child psychologist or early child development years what would happen if every single night you put the child in a different crib and have a different person put the kid in there. It ain't going to work out too good, is it? You understand that? Because the child can't build a self-concept. The child is overwhelmed with these constantly new things going in, and the soul, which has dropped into the body, is trying to get its bearings, and it can't get its bearings. There is no relationship to mommy. There's no relationship to daddy. There's no relationship to crib. There's no relation to mind. There's no relation to blanket. Do you understand that? So they tell you not to do that. Guarantee you. If you're ever a parent, they don't do that. Okay? Keep it pretty stable and standard. Why? The child will then develop a concept that I understand at night I'm going here, and in the morning I'm going here, and if they don't, they cry a lot. Right? It really is a beautiful thing to watch. It's because you're lost. And you're trying to develop a concept that's stable so you can hang on to that. You understand that? So that you can feel some stability. And guess what? You're still doing it. It did not stop at any particular development age, right? If somebody, I used to tell the story like this. You come in here after we had a Sunday service and John plays the guitar for the Sunday service, all right? And you come in, you've never touched a guitar in your life. It is very quickly. You've never touched a guitar in your life. You sit down, you pick up his guitar, you start strumming around, playing around, sing a little bit, right? And all of a sudden, 2 or 3 or 4 people walk in and they hear you and they say quiet, right? And you do this a little while, 10, 15 minutes, and they walk in, you realize they're there, and you're embarrassed. You don't know how to play. And they said, how long have you been playing? You don't want to tell them 10 minutes. But you rise above your ego and you say 10 minutes. And all of a sudden, say, oh my God, you're like a prodigy. Wow, you're really good. I mean, do you know how good you are? I mean, I know people that played for years and can't play that well. You just picked that up. No lessons, nothing? All right, fine. All right, now they go out. All right, you're sitting there for another 5 minutes and you start playing again. You're a totally different attitude about your playing right now. Do you understand that? Another group walk in and sit there and say, oh my God, put that thing down. John would be so upset that you don't even know what you're doing. You don't know how to play. Guess what's coming out of your mouth? I do so. Do you hear me? All it took was 5 minutes and it became part of your self-concept. Yes or no? Doesn't take much, does it? Doesn't take much. What's that teaching you? You're still doing it. You're still trying to find yourself. You're still trying to define a thing that you can relate to, that this is who I am. And no one's found it yet. Do you understand that? And you're defensive if they challenge what you defined yourself as, and you're trying to grab to get something that other people will be impressed with because you define yourself. I don't know what to tell you. You're busy defining yourself. Jesse, if you want to see how much you're defining yourself, have somebody challenge how you defined yourself like that. But just a tiny little thing. You know, you're in a conversation with some friends. They say something, you say something, and then you say something, and they say, nah, that's not right. Let's Google it. You turn white. You turn white. No, let's not Google it. Let's go eat. Because you don't want to be wrong. You understand that? Some stupid little thing. How many words got said on the planet Earth at that moment? 800 billion zillion. And you said 1 or 2, right? But man, you own those suckers, don't you? Right? If it came into your thoughts and it came out of your mouth, you'd die. There are people that if they said it it's wrong, they will make everyone around them say it's right. Their wife, their spouse. It's just amazing what the self-concept's like, isn't it? Because you're lost in there. Of course you're lost. You're trying to define yourself as the TV show. No, you're sitting on the couch. Hello. There's no way you're going to be satisfied being the TV show. I don't care what's on or how good it looks. Do you understand that? You will never, ever be okay trying to identify yourself with something you're not. And that's why you have to keep making sure you're dressing right and you don't smell and the hair's right, exactly right, within a quarter of an inch too long in the front of the back. Every single thing. It's a bear, isn't it? It's not so easy to live in there, is it? Okay? The slightest thing happens, it gets weird inside. That's all because you are hiding behind this self-concept. Somebody wants to ask Yogananda, fully enlightened master, what is the ego? He didn't say the devil bringing hell on earth. You know what he said? The masquerading self. What do you mean masquerading? You pulled a mask around yourself to hide yourself. That's what your ego is. The self-concept that you defined yourself as. So that's what happened. You pull this around, you build this thing, and you're serious about it. How serious? Dead serious. There, I hear tell, is a rumor that it could get so messy in the self-concept that people kill themselves. right? No one ever killed themselves except that their self-concept got so bad in there that we're saying, oh my God, I'll never find anybody. This is terrible. Why even bother living? If she left me and she's out with somebody else, I could never handle it. What is that? That is a broken self-concept, isn't it? Right? And we know what psychology will teach you. Build a new one, make a nicer one. You have to have a strong self-concept. Well, that's better than suicide. I agree with them. Do you understand that? But it's not better than enlightenment. Right? That's the difference. Are you going to go in there, build this mask around yourself because you're lost in there, you're disoriented, right? And live your whole life trying to build one and then have the outside world always agree with it. Come on, you relate to me, right? Never have anything happen that shakes the boat in there, right? And have everything that's supportive and reinforcing, then I'm okay, right? And that's what you try to do with your relationships. I trust him. You have any idea what you mean when you say that? You trust him. Well, I trust you all. I trust that you'll do what you want to do and you'll behave the way you want to behave and you'll be the way you are. Guess what? I'm always right. I don't have to worry about that trust, right? But that's not what you mean by the trust. That he'll be true to himself or she'll be true to herself and carry on in accordance to what they think is right. No, I trust that he'll do what I want. That's what you mean by trust. I trust that he'll never hurt me. I trust he'll never do anything I don't expect him not to do. I trust that I always can predict where he'll be and what he's going to do. In other words, I trust that if I'm in a relationship with this special person, that I'm safe. Safe from what? Safe from getting hit. Safe from being disappointed. Safe from having my self-concept not work. Will you admit to me that that's what you mean by trust? Right? And that's what you try to do with your relationships. And guess what? Society helps you, agrees with you. Why? Because they think that's the best that you can do, is cope. They think the best that you can do is build a world outside that supports the world you built inside so that you can be safe and not be freaking out. Right? I know for a fact that's not the best you can do. It's not even close. To me, that's exactly the same as sitting here saying, just cut the cord and get these thousands of channels that you can stream and get buttons that can quickly go between them. And anytime something bothers you, switch to another one. Come on, get good at it. Get good at changing those channels and getting everything the way you want. Better yet, hire Steven Spielberg to make the movies that will most fit your stuff and watch only those. That's what we do, isn't it? Right? Just get those all lined up so you're always entertained the way you want to and you're safe. And don't let anybody else in. Put bars on the windows, lock the doors. Don't let anybody borrow it. You hear me? That's what you're trying to do. Well, yoga and spirituality, they don't say that. They say you are the greatest being that ever walked the face of the earth. You're one with God. Your consciousness is phenomenal. And look what you're doing with it. You're so addicted to the object of consciousness that not only did it limit you, you're committed to the limit. You get more limited. So, do you understand that? You think the answer is to get it so limited that you can predict everything that's going to happen and it never surprises you or freaks you out at all. Okay? Whereas the answer is you have to find out that there's something greater inside of you. That what you're looking for is not to be lost and disoriented, but to be comfortable settling back into the deeper part of your being. That's what spirituality is. That's why people meditate. That's why people, I don't like it, but they talk about renunciation. Renunciation is not something you should be doing. It's not going to lead you where you want to go. Why do they do that? What is happening is you're addicted to the world being the way you need it to be so that you feel comfortable. You're addicted to the world not being the way you don't want it to be, so you don't feel uncomfortable. Is that a true statement? All right? And you are very committed to going out there and trying to manipulate everybody and everything so they are the way you need them to be and they aren't the way you don't need them to be. And you waste your entire life doing that. Why? The best you can do is be somewhat okay. You understand that? Why? Because the world keeps changing. It doesn't stay the same from one second to the next. Have fun manipulating, controlling it. All right? And by the way, not that much is under your control. It's like the whole world belongs to itself. It belongs to physics and chemistry and psychology. And there's things going on out there. Oh, you're going to control everything, are you? Good luck. Look what you sold out to. So what's the answer? The answer in the bottom line, that's all I ever want to talk about, so you'll understand once in your life, is to stop being interested, not to control the mind. That means I'm interested, but I don't want to be. I'll shut it up. Not to control the world. That means I can't handle reality, so I have to make it be the way I need. but to literally realize, why am I so interested? So what? My heart hurts. So what? Somebody said something and it wasn't right and it hit me the wrong way and I got a little weird. So what? I don't want to devote my life to the lowest part of my being. How about you? All right? Yes, I have a weirdo in here. You got one? Okay? And it gets weird really easy. It can even weird itself. Ever heard about scared of your own shadow? It is scared of itself, right? You can't take it anywhere. You literally won't go to a party because you think you might not be dressed like everybody else and it'll embarrass you. You're afraid to talk, afraid to get up and give a public speech. But it's just free speech. Just talk about what interests you. No, I'm not comfortable. Oh, you're so cute. You understand the weirdo I'm talking about? You got one of those? If you devote your life to that, I'm going to cry. You're beautiful people. You devoted your life to the lowest part of your being. Where will that ever get you? You hear me? You're sitting on the couch watching TV, and I'm trying to get you off the couch because there's the whole world out here, and you're busy trying to get the right channel. And you think the answer is get the right channel, then it'll be fine. No, it won't be fine because you're just tied to this tiny little thing. So the answer is get out, free yourself. How? Stop being so interested in yourself. Like, some people call that humility. I don't want to give it a name, right? Because then you're walking around, I'm nothing, and there's just another self-concept, right? Just realize that your thoughts are meaningless. They are meaningless. Do you know where they come from? Do you know where all those thoughts come from? You've had experiences in the past, lots of them. Every moment you're having an experience. Some of them were comfortable, some of them were not. Right? Rattlesnakes are not so comfortable, butterflies are very comfortable. That's the nature. Like, remember we talked about everything has its nature, the gunas, right? So you've experienced things dark, you've experienced things neutral, you've experienced things light, you've experienced many experiences. When they come in, some are comfortable, some are not. Come on, man, there's a whole universe going on. You just saw the part that was in front of you. Handle it. No, I can't. Whoa. What do you mean, no, I can't handle reality? There was a snake. I saw a snake. You're never going to go outside again? You're never going to take walks? You're never going to go to the zoo because there's a snake exhibit? Right? How weird are you going to get on me? Because you saw a snake crawling around and it wasn't so comfortable. Well, it depends, right? Some people get pretty weird, don't they? Some people don't, right? Can you handle reality? That is the question a yogi, a spiritual person asks you. Can you handle reality? Imagine if you say no. If you say no, you better get a couch and watch the TV. Because you better get an alternate reality because you can't handle reality. So you better try to create one that you're okay with, but that's not reality. Did you catch what I just said? That's why you're watching TV. Look, life is really interesting. There's birds and there's planes, there's trees and there's flowers and there's noises and there's shapes and there's colors. What do you need TV for? Right? Because you're caught in this mess inside and you need something more drastic than the birds and the bees and the different things existing in life to distract you from yourself. That's called entertainment. That's what entertainment is. Distract my consciousness from the mess that's going on inside. I'll take a vacation. I'll watch a movie. I'll buy a bigger TV. Okay? If you get it together in there, it's always beautiful. You're welcome to watch TV, but it's just part of life. There's nothing. But because it's not, let me finish it. You've had these experiences. I asked you, can you handle the experience you had? The answer, of course, is no. I can't handle the good experience I had because I want more. I can't handle the bad experience I had because I don't want it to happen again. Right? If you meet somebody and your heart pops open, that's not okay with you, is it? I want to see him again. Right? It wasn't okay you had that experience. You need to own it, don't you? Come on, look at me. All right? You need to grab it, and Buddhists call it clinging. You need to grab it and cling to it and make sure it stays with you. All right? And if you had an experience that you didn't like, you suppress it, you push it away. I didn't want to have that. That stuff gets stored inside your mind. The stuff you held on to and the stuff you suppressed. And that is where your thoughts come from. That stuff is trying to always release. It's trying to release. When you're sleeping, it comes up in your dreams. When you're awake, it comes up as all that background talk. I don't want to do that. You want to see your sister? No, I don't want to see my sister. Why? Because she had a kid, and the kids are exactly at the age that we were at together when she got that bike that I wanted. Oh, my God. Woo. Woo. Is that really going on in there? All right? You didn't make it say that because you had all that stuff stored in there. It's trying to release. And so things happen, and all of a sudden it reminds it of it, and it starts talking about it, doesn't it? So your whole past pukes up into your mind, and it's disturbing everything. So you basically, that's how the mind got that way. And because you stored the things that either bothered you, which is most of them, by the way, or really turned you on, they are the ones that interest you. If something came on the TV that was about your parents and how they first met, and they never would tell you, and here's a TV show, how Sally's parents met. What? You'd never leave that show in a second. If it was an episode, you'd wait there waiting for the next episode, all right? It's like, it interests you. Well, that stuff in there interests you. By definition, it's the stuff you stored. It's like a self-made house of horrors. I mean, no house of horrors anybody ever made can be as bad as the one you made inside. You literally stored exactly the things that bothered you the most, didn't you? Every single thing that ever happened to you that bothered you is still in there. You didn't let it go. You couldn't handle it. So you suppressed it. You repressed it. You stored it. So now there's a house of horrors in there. Isn't there? And you have to make sure it doesn't get stimulated. All right, so I explained to you where it came from. You got to get out. There's no life. That's not a life to live inside of this mess and then have to control the world so it doesn't hit the mess in a way that makes you get weird, and it hits in a way that makes you, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Right? I hope you realize this is if I have but one life to live, no way. No way I'm living it that way. How about you? Okay, some of you guys are young. You really want to devote your life to that? You really think someday you'll get it exactly the way you want? Go find me the person that did. What spirituality says, no. That's no way to live. Get yourself together, right? Work on yourself, right? What did Christ say? Don't worry about the splinter in somebody else's eye. Worry about the log in yours. Work on yourself. How? Well, like I said, I've done it for a long time, and the bottom line is this. First, handle the mess you made inside. If you can't handle it, you will have to manipulate everything around you so you can handle it. Do you understand that? If I can't handle the fact that my husband leaves the toothpaste cap off or leaves the toilet seat up, right, and all this sort of thing, then I'm not going to like my husband. It's as simple as that, right? Unless he learns to behave himself or she learns to behave herself, I'm not going to like him. Well, that's ridiculous. So now you got to manipulate and control another person to be who they're not, right, so they can be the way you want them to be. You ever hear somebody say, well, how are you doing with your new relationship, right? It's a work in process. Not so funny. In other words, you're trying to make the world be the way you need it to be so it fits the mess you got inside. Well, how about we fix that inside? Now, there's a number of ways to do it, and I'm out of time, so I'm going to do it very quickly. You can go in there and try to change all that. You can do stuff to try, and you should. Do the best you can. Positive thinking, meditation, this and that, right? But when it's said and done, I don't want you to have to do anything. I want you to be free of yourself, not manipulative of yourself. Not if you manipulate somebody else, that's worse. If you're in there messing with yourself, okay, at least you're doing work. In the end, your consciousness, you, can just watch this stuff and let it go. If you'd let it go and it happened, you'd still like your sister. Yep, she got the bike you wanted. You okay with that? Yeah, I guess. Give her a hug. Hear me? Right? Tell her how nice she looks on the bike. Well, those are good things to do. Neutralize it when it comes in so it doesn't stay stuck in there. And we're listening? You don't do this, do you? They taught you a lot of stuff in school. They didn't teach you this, right? Do not let anything negative stay in there. If you see a snake and it gets scary and you see the tendency to not like snakes and therefore I don't like walking outside and therefore I don't like people who like snakes, and you hear me? Don't do that. Don't let it become your self-concept. Be a conscious being. Work with it. Just sit there and say, it's a snake. There are bugs. There are snakes. There are birds. There are butterflies. What's in between a butterfly and a snake? Nothing. Genetics. All right, give me a break. Right? Just understand that you're okay with it. But it was scary. Yeah, but I like scary. People go to horror movies. They pay money. You didn't have to. The snake made it free of charge. Neutralize it. Oh, yes, I want to cry when I talk to you. Neutralize it when it comes in. You're going to have an initial reaction, right? But don't not be able to handle the reaction, so you suppress the thing and keep it inside of you and let it ruin your life. All right? So you start now with handling the weather. It's hot. Fine, it's hot. It gets to be hot. It gets to be cold. It gets to be rainy, even on your birthday. Just literally sit there and say, I'm a high being, and I can handle the fact that it rained on my birthday. Not funny. It hasn't rained for 2 weeks on either side of rain. It must be a blessing. In India, when it rains, it's called auspicious. So you must have a very nice birthday. Stop making a mess of yourself. Don't let that happen. Neutralize it. Neutralize it. Work with yourself. In the end, what you want to do is handle the moments that are unfolding in front of you so you don't have to suppress them and don't have to like them or not like them. You just experience them. This is life. This is your life. And if you'll do that with the moments in front of you, you're going to notice, it's a warning sign, you're going to notice that the stuff you didn't do it with in the past is going to start coming up. People say to me, in the beginning it was so beautiful, I was letting stuff go, but now it's much harder, I don't know what I did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. You have all this stuff stored in there from when you were 6 and 8 and 10 and 12 and 15. And guess what? Everything in you wants it out. But now that you aren't putting more on top, it's like a LIFO stack. Yeah, last in, first out, right? You've been shoving this stuff on top of it so the rest can't come out. Now you stop shoving the stuff on top of it. It's called purifying. That's what purification is, right? You stop putting stuff on top of it, it'll start coming up all by itself. Don't write me and ask me, how do I know what I need to let go of? You'll know. It'll be right in your face. But how do I know that this is what I should work with? It'll come up in exactly the order it should, and it will do exactly what it needs to do. Are you capable of handling it? Can you handle that your parents' divorce? You feel all this sadness just like you did when you were 6. And yeah, that's right. Why? Because you stored it when you were 6. And it's stored down there with all the emotions and all the isn't it? Come on, all right? And it will come back up just like that. But I don't want it to. Fine, devote your life to avoiding it. Devote your life to never getting married, because if you get married, you might have kids and you might get divorced, and then the kids would have to go through what you went through. There, very good. That's just wonderful. Right? If it comes up, kiss it. Hello. Come on up. Come on up. You're welcome here. I don't want you down there causing all this trouble. I want to be free. I want to be open. I want to be able to just embrace all of life. If marriage comes, marriage comes. If marriage doesn't come, marriage doesn't come. They're beautiful. They're both beautiful. It's wonderful. If I have kids, it's beautiful. I'm going to put my whole life, the joy of having children. If I don't have children, wonderful. And you free yourself. So the stuff will come up. What you need to learn to do is keep your hands to yourself. If the TV shows don't interest you, you won't keep watching them. That's why it's not about renunciation. Renunciation is, it does interest me, but I'm not supposed to do it, so I won't. That didn't get you anywhere. You're still keeping it inside. It's going to eat away at you. It's going to suppress. You'll express it different ways. We see that going on. You hear me? It's not about that. It's not about you think you'll make me happy, but I won't do it. Right? You just come down here and you realize, I need to work to let this stuff come up inside of me, cleanse out while I'm just relaxing. That's why I say relax and release. Just keep relaxing. Well, what do I do if my heart hurts? Relax. How can I relax? My heart hurts. You figure it out. Right? It's your heart hurting is an object of consciousness. Your consciousness does not have to get involved in that. I mean, I suppress it? No, don't suppress it. Well, I don't know what to do. Relax. Relax your shoulders, relax your chest, relax your buttocks. Just relax. But it gets tight again, relax again. That's the highest thing you can do, is to relax in the face of what's on TV. If you can relax in the face of what's on TV, you're relaxed. You didn't get engaged. You didn't bury yourself in it. All right? Eventually, you'll say, what am I doing? Wasting my life sitting on this couch watching this stupid show. You wouldn't even understand why you did it. Why you couldn't look back and say, why was I ever doing that? Like a person who stopped smoking. Eventually, ew, why did I do that? You can't even understand once you break the habit. Well, you got to break the habit of you. You must die to be reborn. That's what Christ said. That's what it means to die to be reborn. You die of the personal self, not so you can become something else. You are already it. You know what I mean? You don't have to when you stop watching the TV, you don't have to do anything to be you. You're it, right? When you stop being involved in your personal self, you will find out that you're not in your personal self. Where are you? In your impersonal self. You are in your infinite self. You are in your beautiful self. And you bring a blessing down to earth. That's right understanding. All right. Jagged.